Welcome back to Stoic Realm. Today, we are diving into a topic that affects nearly all of us, dealing with toxic people. Toxic individuals can take many forms in our lives. They can be coworkers, friends, family members, or even acquaintances we encounter in day-to-day life. They're the ones who sap our energy, fuel our anxieties, and sometimes even bring out the worst in us. But what if I told you that Stoicism provides a powerful framework to not only handle these people, but also emerge from these interactions stronger, more peaceful, and less affected by their behavior? In this video, we're going to explore how the Stoic philosophy equips us with the tools to deal with toxic people. We'll dive into practical strategies that focus on emotional resilience, boundary setting, and cultivating indifference to negativity. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of how to remain calm and centered in the presence of toxic individuals, protecting your inner peace. Let's get started. Section 1. Understanding toxic people through the lens of Stoicism. Before we delve into strategies, let's first define what we mean by toxic people. Toxic individuals tend to exhibit certain patterns of behavior: manipulation, control, passive aggression, or even outright hostility. They may provoke you, seek to undermine your confidence, or drain you emotionally. Toxicity thrives on the emotional reactions of others. The more you get upset or entangled in their drama, the more fuel they have to continue their behavior. Stoicism teaches us that the behaviors of others are outside our control. Epictetus famously said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This is the core of how a Stoic approaches toxic people. You cannot control how a toxic person behaves, but you can always control how you respond. Instead of getting caught up in their manipulations or drama, you shift the focus inward. How do you want to handle the situation? Stoicism gives you the power to disengage emotionally and act from a place of reason and calm rather than from anger or frustration. Section 2. Emotional detachment. Emotional detachment is one of the most valuable tools Stoicism provides for dealing with toxic individuals. Toxic people often thrive on drama, conflict, and emotional reactions. They want you to get upset, frustrated, or anxious. That's how they gain control over the situation. But Stoicism teaches us that we don't have to give them that power. Instead, we can remain emotionally detached from their behavior. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminded himself, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." This powerful insight reminds us that emotional harm is something we can opt out of. When a toxic person insults you or manipulates you, it's not the words or the actions that hurt. It's how you choose to interpret and internalize them. By practicing emotional detachment, you can remain unshaken by their attempts to disrupt your peace. Now, emotional detachment doesn't mean apathy or indifference to the point of ignoring toxic behavior. It's about not letting their words or actions penetrate your sense of self-worth or inner peace. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, take a moment to breathe. Remind yourself that you cannot control their behavior and respond from a place of calm and reason. This not only diffuses the situation, but also disarms the toxic person. They thrive on emotional engagement. By denying them that, you take away their power over you. Section 3. Setting boundaries without guilt. A common misconception is that Stoicism means passively enduring the bad behavior of others. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Stoicism is about living in accordance with your values, and one of the key values is self-respect. Setting boundaries with toxic individuals is not only acceptable, it's necessary. Toxic people often push boundaries because they thrive on control. They'll take advantage of your kindness, manipulate your emotions, or overstep limits to get what they want. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire." This quote reminds us that we often fear setting boundaries because we worry about how others will react. We fear the discomfort of confrontation. But Stoicism encourages us to live in line with our principles, including protecting our mental and emotional well-being. When setting boundaries with a toxic person, remember that this is not a selfish act. It's an act of self-preservation. It's important to clearly communicate what behavior you will and will not tolerate. Toxic people might resist, push back, or guilt trip you. But the key is to stay grounded in your decision. The Stoic approach to setting boundaries is rooted in the understanding that you are responsible for your peace of mind. You cannot control how others respond to your boundaries, but you can control how firmly and respectfully you uphold them. Section 4. Practicing the art of indifference. One of the most powerful concepts in Stoicism is apatheia, often translated as indifference to external events. Toxic people often try to provoke reactions. They'll say or do things designed to upset you, manipulate your emotions, or create chaos. But Stoicism teaches us that we don't have to engage. Instead, we can practice indifference, not to people, but to the actions that are out of our control. As Epictetus said, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. Toxic people can only disturb you if you give them permission to. When you stop reacting emotionally to their provocations, you rob them of their ability to affect you. This doesn't mean you ignore the person entirely, but rather that you choose not to let their behavior disturb your inner tranquility. Indifference in this context means that you don't allow their actions to dictate your emotional state. You don't react with anger, frustration, or fear. Instead, you remain calm and detached. Toxic people thrive on drama. By refusing to engage, you deny them the satisfaction of pulling you into their chaos. This empowers you to remain centered and peaceful, no matter how toxic the environment may be. Section 5. Compassion and forgiveness, a Stoic approach. While Stoicism teaches us to be firm in our boundaries and emotionally detached, it also encourages us to practice compassion and forgiveness. Toxic people are often dealing with their own unresolved pain, insecurities, or emotional turmoil. They lash out at others because they lack the tools to handle their own suffering. Stoicism reminds us that all human beings are flawed, and many toxic behaviors are a reflection of inner struggles. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize?" This practice of empathy can help us remember that toxic people are often acting out of their own weaknesses. While this doesn't mean tolerating abuse or manipulation, it does mean that we can choose to approach them with compassion rather than hatred. Compassion doesn't mean enabling toxic behavior or allowing someone to cross your boundaries. It means recognizing their humanity and choosing not to hold on to resentment or anger. Forgiveness in the Stoic sense is about releasing the emotional burden that comes with holding on to grievances. It's about letting go of the anger or bitterness that can poison your own peace of mind. In conclusion, dealing with toxic people is a challenge that many of us face, but Stoicism provides us with the tools to handle these difficult situations with grace and strength. Remember, you cannot control how others act, but you can always control how you respond. By practicing emotional detachment, setting firm boundaries, cultivating indifference, and approaching the situation with compassion, you can protect your inner peace and navigate toxic relationships without losing yourself in the process. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Stoic insights. Comment below with your thoughts or personal experiences in dealing with toxic people. And I'll see you in the next video.